All right, we're going to get going here in a second. I'll give a couple minutes for folks to get in. I may have to adjust where I'm at on the screen. I don't remember where things are on the screen for this game. So once we get into the game, if I need to drag my webcam around or something, I will. Max, I have been to the National Archives more times than you can count. I used to go there twice a year to do research in Civil War pension files because there's so much great information in Civil War pension files. So I used to go there a couple times a year. I've been through hundreds and hundreds of Civil War military records and pension files. What is going on, everybody? So something a little different today. I typically do all my gaming streaming over on my gaming channel, and that's not going to stop. I'm going to continue to do that. But I thought that I was trying to figure out something I could do while doing a Q&A time for our celebration for 250,000 subs. And I thought, all right, you know what? I'm really into World War I right now. I'll play a little Strategic Command. I've seen Mr. Terry do this a number of times where he plays games while he does a Q&A and stuff. So, yeah, we could do a video on Manifest Destiny and stuff at some point. Going to Boston in a few weeks. Ooh, I've been to Boston 3 times now. So much history there. The area, if you get outside the city a little bit and go to Lexington and Concord, there's so much history there. That whole area between Lexington and Concord, there's a whole trail of places to visit associated with the beginning of the Revolutionary War. Of course, I don't know if it's open, but the USS Constitution is fantastic to visit. Bunker Hill Monument, there's not a lot to see there, but how far back does my known family tree go? With some degree of certainty, I've got a few lines back to Charlemagne. Beyond that, it gets a little fishy. I will be watching the Super Bowl. Top 3 Sabaton songs in no particular order. Christmas Truce, 82nd All the Way, Lost Battalion. I'll add a 4th, the Red Baron. Chip, it's quite possible that could be tomorrow's Today in History. We'll see. I'm a Browns fan. And I don't know if you know this, I've done some armchair history reactions, Darsh. But the Bengals are owned by the Brown family the Browns are named after. So that's kind of cool. EA Space, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so let me go ahead and start this up. It's a turn-based game, which I thought would be perfect for doing a Q&A because I don't have to pay such close attention. I thought about playing Beyond the Wire, which is a first-person shooter in World War I, and I was actually playing it a little while ago, and the game I was in, I was one of the Harlem Hellfighters, which was awesome. And I'll apologize in advance if I miss your questions because we'll have a lot of questions going, even with the slow chat. Sometimes I'll miss questions. So, all right, I'm going to only play as France and Britain on the Entente side. My last playthrough, I did the Central Powers, so I thought I'd go this way. I'm going to let the AI control the U.S., Russia, Serbia, and Italy. And I'll take on the U.K. and France in this one. We'll keep everything else as is. My favorite brand of chips. They're a local brand, but Snyder's barbecue chips are great. Zach, thank you so much. And Zach, man, you have been around for most of those 250,000 subscribers, so I appreciate that, if not all of them. So glad to have you for all of that. I play Hearts of Iron 4 a ton on my gaming channel. I've got a number of playthroughs on there. I played the Battlefield 1 campaign, but it was a long time ago. Barat, I already answered that question about Manifest Destiny. Craig, thank you. You live right next to Fitch High School. That's awesome. Austintown Fitch? Because I know there's a Fitch High School in, Connecticut or something. Yes, Medieval Scholar. We're going to do some more Hearts of Iron 4 on the gaming channel. My favorite book, Grant's autobiography, I think, right now. There's a World War I book called A World Undone, which is also phenomenal. It's the best World War I book I've read. I know Indy Nidell quotes it all the time on the Great War Channel. NFL Lockdown, thank you. I appreciate that. That means so much to me to know that I've brought about a love of history in a lot of people. Jason, I definitely want to get over to the Fallen Timbers battlefield. I've actually never been there, even though I live in Ohio. So I definitely want to do that. reactions to historical music. That would be fun. Favorite place in Michigan? The Upper Peninsula. I've never been there, but that would be it. Yes, awesome, Craig. Very cool. Yeah, I live in the tiny part of Austintown that has a Canfield zip code. So we're still in Austintown Township. My kids go to Austintown schools. But yeah, and my son plays for Austintown for the soccer team. Yes, this is a Slytherin game, Steve. Do I think Benedict Arnold was justified in his betrayal? No. Though I understand why he did it. That doesn't mean I agree with it or think it was justified. Oh, the Berlin Wall piece. I think it's over here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it's right here. So I got that way back, like when it happened. There was this place that was doing pieces of the Berlin Wall. It's got the date on it and everything. Original Berliner Mauerstein. Yeah, so there you go, right there. And then I've got this rock here that I found on top of Currahee when I hiked up Currahee back last year down at Camp Toccoa. I actually brought home a rock from the Somme battlefield. It's a piece of flint from the Somme battlefield. There's flint everywhere there. I don't have it with me though. I think it's downstairs still in my suitcase. I have not read Harry Potter, but I'm a huge fan of the last two are really, really good. I've watched all the movies. My daughter has read all the books. I've seen the musical 1776. The most important historical event in the last 300 years, World War I. That's why I'm really into studying it right now. The game audio is too loud? Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I'll take care of that. I don't know what I just did, but we'll figure it out here in a second. All right, give me 1 second. Let me go to my settings here, and I will fix that. There we go. That should deal with that problem. Okay, we should be good now. What's going on, the janitor? Sorry, catching up with chat here. I'm still waiting from... you're a Glasgow Rangers fan from the Midlands. That's awesome, Adam. Very cool. Craig, thank you. Appreciate that. You probably will bump into me at Walmart. Though lately I've been lazy and I've been doing online delivery orders at Walmart so I don't have to go. The movie Lincoln is very historical. I think it is one of the best portrayals of a president ever. Most accurate. Yeah, I'll do a ranking of vice presidents at some point. Do I feel old knowing that some people watch my channel were born after the millennium? Yes, John, that makes me feel very old. I will definitely play Victoria 3 when it comes out. I admire Grant a lot, too. Oh, there's the Jake box. I want to see so much in the UK. I could spend months there and not see everything. Top of my list, I want to go to Glasgow in the worst way because my family came from there, and Birmingham. That's the two places my family came from mostly. I've been to Dayton. I want to go to the museum there. I know, among other things, they have the original cross that was on Quentin Roosevelt's grave from World War I is in the museum, the History Museum in Dayton. Dermot, please don't make me mute you. I don't like having politics discussed on the channel. Sorry. I have played Rise of Nations, but it's been a long time. Liège detachment destroyed already. Okay, so the UK joined the Entente, which happens when Germany declares war on Belgium. Luxembourg was captured. Liège was captured. Belgrade was captured already. Okay, that was pretty brutal. Hollywood Cemetery is awesome. I will definitely do more Virginia videos. I love Peaky Blinders. Some of Peaky Blinders was filmed in my great-great-great-grandfather's pub in Glasgow. It's called the Old Toll. And it looks like it did in the 1880s, and so they film a lot of period shows there. Aloha, son of Hawaii. My wife and I are thinking about going back to Hawaii. We went there for our honeymoon, and we got our 20th anniversary coming up, and we're kind of talking about going back to Hawaii, especially now that my friend JD from History Underground said he's going to Hawaii this summer. Now I'm jealous. Okay, let me catch up on the game real quick, so save your questions for just a second. Marty Griff, thank you, appreciate that. the real Game of Thrones. Is that about? I would guess it's probably about the Wars of the Roses, right? And Shelby Foote's a great storyteller. I've done 1 or 2 Mark Felton videos, but I will definitely do more. Seder Zombie, I've played a ton of Hearts of Iron 4 on my gaming channel. All right, Lord Kitchener wants us to either send the BEF to France or have it deploy in the UK. We're going to send it to France. Top 3 historical films. Ooh, Tora Tora Tora. Oh, boy. I'm going to think about this for a second. Historical films. I've seen the USS Arizona before. Hawaii would mostly be a trip for me and my wife, not really a trip to make videos, but definitely Dylan going back to France at some point to film the northern parts of the Western Front, Ypres, Passchendaele, Vimy Ridge, Mons, a lot of those places. And I have a bunch of cousins who are buried in the cemeteries there that are killed in World War I. BEF is British Expeditionary Force. Started this channel, started making videos for the channel about 15 months ago. Battleships and battlecruisers, they don't have a place in the modern Navy. It's just facts, unfortunately. Okay, so we don't really have any British forces here so far. We just got the Belgians. So we're going to move them into place and try to get entrenched as best we can here. I got to reinforce these guys. And then we'll try to move the French up here, get the cavalry up there, or at least try to slow these guys down a little bit. Make sure we hang on to Verdun for sure. Sorry, I'll get back to the chat in just a minute. I'm taking my turn here. I'm going to mostly just dig in all these guys here. Try to... normally, at the beginning anyway, main thing I got to do is just withstand the German onslaught of the Schlieffen Plan until we can get enough men mobilized to slow them down. And that takes a little while. And there's not a lot to do on the first turn. Okay, back to the chat. I don't know a lot about communist Chinese history. Kitty Perry, thank you so much. Do you find knowing a lot about history gives you insight into the outcome of current events maybe? Yeah, to a point, because we never really know how it's going to play out. But you can certainly see the parallels. Usually after the thought, though. Use the howitzers. Yes, I need to do that. Hand puppet Calvin Coolidge or Harry... Oh, you're responding to someone. Can you buy... Well, this game is on Steam, yes. Cody, thank you. Your grandparents live in Steubenville. That's awesome. That's like an hour from me. My great-grandmother was born right outside of Steubenville in a little town called York, Ohio. It's like 10 miles from Steubenville. Best vice president. Best vice president that was never president or that became president. I think Calvin Coolidge probably was one of the best. The Ukrainian-Russian thing, I don't typically talk about modern events on here at all, but here's what I'll say about this. I'm starting to wonder if Russia's not really going to invade Ukraine and they're just trying to destabilize to get a pro-Russia government. There's a lot of hints that might be happening. So maybe they're just trying to cause all kinds of problems within the country without actually invading. I think Prince Charles will make a good king. Yeah, I think so. Monsieur Z's Wilson did nothing wrong. That might be interesting, because I would certainly disagree with that. But I think Bobby Kennedy would have won the 1968 election. Ooh, I don't know. I think it would have been close. We'll get back to the rest of the Potato Blight, the Irish Potato Famine series tomorrow, and we'll do straight through. Hopefully get all those knocked out. I have seen War Horse. They show some of the Second Battle of the Somme, I believe, in War Horse, if I remember right. Corey, you're from Niles? My wife graduated from Niles High School. 3 of my 4 grandparents went to school in Niles. Given the likelihood of war with the Ottoman Empire, we could send an Indian army force to Basra. I'm going to say no to that. I did see Prince Charles has COVID. Son of Hawaii, thank you. I really appreciate that. I cannot wait to get back to Hawaii. We had an awesome time the last time, and of course we're 20 years older now, but we want to see the islands we didn't see last time. We want to see the Big Island. We want to see Maui. We went to Oahu and Kauai last time. We'll give it to the Ottomans, not make them. Ever read the Bible? Well, I'm a pastor, so let's hope so. Dermot, I agree. Warhorse does hit you in the feels. I haven't heard about the COD Wars. Sammy, I don't typically read up anything before I do reaction videos. If I do, I will probably mention it. I usually, because I don't watch the reaction videos ahead of time. There's occasional times that I have seen the video before, and if that's the case, I will tell you guys. But I usually try to react as it happens. And sometimes I'll look things up if I'm not familiar with it, but I try really hard not to read up too much about things. Now, I will say that I tend to choose reaction videos that I know I will have something to add, because I don't ever want to be one of those people that just sits there and goes, wow, ooh, interesting. You know, I want to add something of value to the discussion, or I don't want to do it. I am actually, I'm a part-time pastor. I was a full-time youth pastor for 14 years. I still fill in and preach at a church on Sunday mornings, but that's really all I do for it. The Queen has, Basil, your Queen has COVID too. What country is that? I think America's invasion of the Philippines gets taught a little bit in school. The return of the invisible drink. Yeah, because I have a Mountain Dew Zero and it's green. Mixer, thank you. The Serbian front of World War I is definitely something I want to cover at some point. It is a great David versus Goliath story. You're in Belgrade? Very cool. I would love to get there someday. A recommended watch list. I really need to do that. I keep saying that, and people ask me for it all the time. Here's the thing: I'm actually setting up a website, a Vlogging Through History website, because I'm getting a sponsorship from Squarespace, which is a website company. So I'm designing a website for Vlogging Through History, and maybe that'd be a really good thing to add to that. Would be a recommended list of things to watch and read about a certain topic. So thank you for bringing that up. Eldon Smith, Band of Brothers, man, is amazing. War graphics, I have to check that out. I do play FIFA, though I have not played the latest FIFA game yet. Barbary Wars, that'd be something interesting to talk about at some point. Roddick, was Noah's flood a real event? Here's what I'll say, sticking to the historical side of things. Every ancient culture has a flood narrative. Something happened. Whether you believe the events of the Bible or not, which I do because I'm a Christian, so, but I recognize not everybody does, but historically speaking, something happened. Every culture, ancient Chinese culture, Native American culture, Middle Eastern culture, African cultures, they all have a flood narrative, an event, a story about a worldwide flood or even a regional flood. Something happened that they're all talking about. So, Chelsea, I saw that. Boy, Chelsea's had a nice run lately, haven't they? Doesn't mean my West Brom didn't score 5 goals on them last year. Chernobyl on HBO is fantastic. Yes, Steve, absolutely. Gilgamesh is one of those ancient stories that talks about a flood narrative. I play Football Manager all the time. I love Football Manager. In fact, it's funny because one of the channels I like watching, Work the Space, he does Football Manager playthroughs, and he actually sponsors one of the teams he did a playthrough with, Tau Law, I think is the name of the club. They're like in the 7th tier of the English football pyramid. And now he's the sponsor of their thing. So I was last night, me and my wife were sitting there thinking, okay, when I am up to like 1 million subscribers someday, maybe I could sponsor like a 7th tier English football team. Yes, I do have a degree in Bible and theology. When can we see a cameo from Indy Nidell? Indy actually invited me to come. He's going to be in Normandy doing like a 24-hour, like as it happened thing for his World War II channel. And he mentioned to me about coming there for that and kind of jumping in on things and meeting up with him there. When I was in France, he was in Bavaria making stuff for his channel because we were trying to figure out if we could connect then. It'll happen at some point. Indy and I will connect at some point. I think he's interested in making that happen just as I am. So, Zenacity, thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. You're a Marine. Hey, awesome, Devil Dog. Congratulations and thank you for your service. Huge respect for the Marine Corps. I did meet a fan in France. Funny story about that. I've played a little bit of Kingdom Come Deliverance. All right, so while I'm getting ready for my turn, let me share this story real quick. So save your questions for just a second. So I'm in Verdun, right? And I'd been in the hotel in Verdun for a couple of days. I'd posted on Instagram, and I think I did a live stream from Verdun, and I showed a picture to you guys of my of a shot out of my hotel window, which was amazing, beautiful scenery. And I'm pulling out. I'm leaving Verdun. I'm like making one more stop in Verdun, and then I'm on my way to the Somme battlefield. And I'm pulling out of my hotel parking lot in Verdun, and a guy walks up to me. And he's like he's obviously trying to get my attention. I'm like halfway onto the street. So I put down the window and he looks out at me and he's French, but he had a great English accent. He goes, hey, I love your videos. I'm like, wait, what? I wasn't expecting to run into anybody in France that knew who I was. And so, yeah, he lived in Verdun, like a couple blocks from where I was staying. And he saw the picture I posted and he knew which hotel that was because there was only one hotel that had a view like that. And so he stopped and he helped me get my COVID health pass so I could get into places because he knew a local pharmacy where he'd gotten his. Very, very kind. His name was Josiah, and he was very kind. So, yeah, I did run into a fan in France, which was pretty awesome. Okay, Nancy was captured. Brussels was captured. Ugh, we're not off to a good start here. First Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill. Talking about unrestricted naval warfare. Lord Kitchener wants to raise the Kitchener. This is the PALS battalions right here. So, yes, let's do it. Okay, somebody had a question that I want to go back to here. Let me get over to, I can't get over to the, there we go. Sorry, guys, it's going to mess up the screen there for a second. I want to scroll back up on the chat. Bazaar Leem, thank you. And have I seen Useful Charts' new video? I know of the video, the one about Charlemagne. I have not seen it yet. I will do a reaction at some point. In fact, Matt from Useful Charts actually reached out to me after my reaction to his last video. He invited me to, there's like this private group with a bunch of history streamers, channel people. So like Mr. Beat's in there, and Genia Vlogger is there, and Cynical Historian's in there, Cypher, and Matt from Useful Charts is in there. And so I've been chatting with those guys, and it's been pretty cool to get to know them a little bit. Okay. Do I have a historic collection? Yeah, I'm starting to have a historic collection. Let me show you one of my latest things, and I hope I don't knock down my green screen in doing this. Oh. This one we just added. It's really more of a personal historic collection, but this is my wife's grandfather's World War II uniform. My mother-in-law gave it to me for Christmas. So we are working on, in the loft where I record, we're working on turning this into kind of my new man cave, my space. And we're going to set up an area for me to kind of put all my growing memorabilia collection that I'm working on. In fact, just today, I won on auction an East Lancashire shoulder title from a World War I uniform. That was the Accrington Pals, were in the East Lancashire Regiment. So it's that pin that says East Lancashire on their shoulder from World War I. I got one of those that's coming, so I'm excited about that. He's gone, anarchy. Pants reveal. Yeah, I'm wearing jeans, nothing fancy. Top 3 favorite historic events. I don't know if I call them favorite, but most interesting to me: American Civil War, World War One, Wars of the Roses. Favorite historical figure, probably General Grant. I have been to Jamestown, but not Williamsburg. Yes, the bomber grandfather. That is his uniform. In fact, one of the things you can see here on the uniform is the presidential unit citation that they received. Their bomb group, the 379th Bomb Group, dropped more tonnage of bombs on Germany than any other group. They're actually called the Grand Slam Group because in 1 month they won what was called the Grand Slam, which was like the least casualties, the most bombs dropped. There were 2 other things that went with that. I am interested in Bundesliga. I haven't decided on a team to root for yet. Your hometown just defeated Bayern Munich. That's a pretty big deal. That's awesome. Didn't Bayern Munich win the... or no, they were in the... yeah, they just won the Champions League, didn't they? Or they were... I'm trying to remember. Bayern Munich... I'm trying to remember now. Did they win it, or was that Chelsea that won the Champions League? Ooh, I haven't read any books on Bull Halsey. That's a good one. Favorite foreign president. I'm a big fan of the Prime Minister, William Pitt the Younger. Chelsea won the Champions League. That's right. Why was I thinking that Bayern Munich did? Maybe that was the year before. La Liga, I don't really have a team. Silver Smurfin. Awesome name, by the way. I have heard the new Sabaton song. Reaction is coming. I'm trying to fit it in with everything else. 2020 they won it. Okay, that's why. And then Chelsea won it last year. What if Henry V lived longer? Boy, the whole world's different. You probably don't have the Wars of the Roses. England and France are maybe united under one crown. Goodness, boy, I can't even imagine what the world would be like. I saw the NFL is going to start doing games in Munich. That's awesome. What historical person would you be? You cannot choose yourself. Napoleon. I would have known when to stop, and boy, what a world he might have created if that had been the case. All right, let me take my turn here real quick. I haven't gotten very far. I'm like on the second turn here. Ozai, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, we can actually do some research now, but for now I'm going to start by, we got to try and slow. We got some BEF forces here now. We're going to get some in Lille. Let's get them entrenched right away. Even though entrenchment wasn't really happening too much at this point in the war, we're going to do it just to kind of slow down the Germans as best we can. I'm going to try to shift everybody over here a little bit. I'll get back to your questions as soon as I finish my turn, because it takes a long time in between turns here. I'm just getting everybody entrenched as best I can. This is probably not a good place for this. Well, that's if we're done, so I think we'll be okay there. And then these guys, I'll just get them reinforced. And we're just going to try to hold off against the German onslaught for a couple of turns here. Okay. We got to start moving the Navy up for the blockade. Move them out of Scapa Flow here. I try to put the big ships every other one, and then try to put some small ships in between in case the submarines come along. We'll have some escorts that can kind of deal with them a little bit. That'll be a good start. Favorite movie? Ooh, I can tell you my favorite thing ever made on TV or movies would be Band of Brothers, but I don't know if I have a specific favorite movie. Let's re-recruit the Belgian First Corps that got wiped out, and the French 20th Corps. And then that'll pretty well do it for that turn. Okay. Why does moving troops in the game sound like you eating chips? Can I cover the North African front by... yeah, I might do that at some point. Who do I think will win the Champions League this year? Gosh, Man City, most likely. But you never know. Period in history you know the least about. Anything in Asian history. I'm very poor on Asian history. All right, I'm trying to catch up on chat. It's moving really fast right now. So, the most tragic event in history. Oh gosh, there are really so many. World War I's got to be up there though, just because of the number of deaths that happened because of that in both World War I and World War II and the Cold War. I don't even know who's playing in the Champions League on Tuesday. I'd have to look and see. I haven't seen The Revenant. I need to do that. I've played Battlefield 1. Mustafa, I think Napoleon's in the conversation for best general. I think it's so hard to compare because different eras. You know, Alexander the Great's got to be in that discussion. Caesar's going to be in that discussion. Napoleon's certainly going to be in that discussion. Would I have voted for Hamilton in the 1820 presidential election against James Monroe if he hadn't died? Interesting. Maybe. I like Hamilton. I think he was incredibly smart, but also made a lot of stupid mistakes. Who's my favorite soccer player? Wow, let me think about that. Probably Christian Pulisic. I'm an American. I got to go with the homer. I got to go with the best American player. I like, on my team, West Brom, we just got Daryl DK, so he's an American, but he's hurt right now. A series on the Alamo. Yeah, I want to get back down there. I have a video on the channel from Alamo. It was done a long time ago. It's not my best work. I'd like to go back and do it right. Yes, A World Undone, I think, is the best book on World War I that I have read so far. Okay. General Joffre. The Navy has offered to provide a unit of Marines to help defend Boulogne. Sure. Favorite German chancellor after World War II? I don't know if I have one. I remember Helmut Kohl being pretty big in the news, but I just don't know enough about him. Sabaton's selling tier list is a great idea. We should do that. Live stream with Mr. Beat will be next Monday. I'm supposed to talk to him here in the next couple of days. We're going to work on all the details for that. I do watch MLS. I go to a couple games every year, the Columbus Crew. Every year, I take my boys. PSG versus Real Madrid, I think PSG probably wins that one. I bought both my boys' PSG shirts when I was in France. I would love to visit the Czech Republic. I have not been to Africa or the Middle East. I would love to, though. Yeah, there's not much to see at the Alamo, that's right. And you can't film inside the chapel. Favorite female in history? Ooh, interesting question. Aggressive Churchill asks you to invade Turkey. Refuse. Favorite female in history? Goodness. I like scientists, so I'm going to say Marie Curie. I don't know a lot of naval history to really be able to answer that one. Oklahoma Pride, thank you. The Code Talkers, yes. Your great-grandfather was a code talker? That is phenomenal. What an incredible legacy to have. Very, very cool. Boy, I'd be learning all I could about him. I'm sure you probably have. But Japan declares war on the Central Powers. And here come the PALs to join the PALs battalions. Yeah, the Code Talkers are such a cool story. Bayern versus Salzburg. Bayern Munich. If I could prevent one death in history, Franz Ferdinand. Definitely. Or Abraham Lincoln. I've played Call of Duty World War II. I have not seen the movie Anthropoid. Underrated World War II general. Underrated. Probably somebody depends on, I mean, like to Americans, underrated would be anybody who's not American. That was a great general. So like Marshal Zhukov, fantastic, and I don't think a lot of Americans know about him. I have played Hell Let Loose. I have not read Mein Kampf. Favorite NFL team is the Browns. I've never been. The only country I've been to outside of North America is France, and that was last week. So the Code Talkers were Navajo Indians, Native Americans. They were used to do transmissions in the Pacific Theater because the Japanese couldn't break the code because they didn't have anybody who could speak Navajo. There's a movie about them called Wind Talkers. And the story goes that each of the Code Talkers, I don't know how historically accurate this is, I know in the movie it was like that, and it probably was, had people who were assigned to protect them, and in the event that they were going to be captured, to kill them, because they didn't want any of them to fall into Japanese hands, be tortured, and give up the code. Did Pompey have a chance to win the Civil War? Yeah, probably. Will Aaron Rodgers leave Green Bay? Probably not. Andrew Jackson looks like Palpatine. Jacob Devers could have ended the war if Eisenhower and Bradley had liked him. Elbro Bear, very cool. Do I have favorite foods? Yes. Cracker Barrel chicken and dumplings. I like steak. I love pizza. Mexico is beautiful. I've been there. Franz Joseph, like a lot of those hereditary leaders, not great, not bad, just kind of meh for me. Yeah, I'll play some more Hearts of Iron 4 on the gaming channel at some point. You had a great uncle in the 82nd Airborne. My wife had a great uncle in the 82nd Division in World War I. He was in artillery in the 82nd before it became the 82nd Airborne. Magdalena, I definitely want to go to Poland. I want to go to Auschwitz. I want to go to Auschwitz Fortress where the Attack of the Dead Men was. Holland or Mbappe? Mbappe. That's my son's favorite player, so I got to choose him. I will do the DB Cooper Lamino series at some point. Vandalia, thank you. This game reminds you of Civilization series. You do podcasts and sometimes talk about history. Edward III. I love me some Edward III. Using diplomacy. All right, what's Lord Kitchener got to say? The Indian Army can quickly make 2 corps. We'll send him to Egypt. Best World War I general. I'm a huge fan of Pétain for the French. And I just like Pershing as an American. I don't know. Maybe not the best, but those are my favorites. Yes. I do have some Irish history guy. Favorite historical movie non-war related? Let me think about that a little bit. Because so many of them are. A lot of question, guys, so I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, unfortunately. Longshanks or Lionheart? Longshanks. Lionheart is so overrated. Never been a huge fan of his. Video from Military History Visualized. I'll have to check them out. Yes, I know how Lamino is pronounced, but I'm stuck in my ways. Events in the Caucasus region, perhaps, yes. Eric, not the place for that, man. Do I think France could have done much better? Yeah, France should have done a lot better in World War II. They had a huge army and did not do very well with it. All right, we're not going to attack those Germans. So let's entrench there. Let's send these guys over and get them entrenched. Battlefield 1, I have Edgy Nuke, and thank you. Do I think Russia will invade Ukraine? No. I think they're trying to destabilize the country and get a pro-Russian government. I do not think it'll be a full-on invasion. Let's see. What can we do here? We'll hit them there. Let's get these guys reinforced. I'm going to pull that cavalry out of there and get some infantry in there. I'll get back to the questions as soon as my turn's done here. All right. We've got a little money to spend on research. William Cosgrove, thank you. And any thoughts about finding ancestors that have a common name immigrating to the U.S. in the 1880s from Ireland? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to do that. I mean, start by looking at them in the 1900 census. See if you can find them there. Look for their death certificates from when they died, if you know when that was. We got to go to the British here. Let's go logistics, production technology, and industrial tech. All right, let me get caught up on the chat now. Favorite military strategy game? Right now, Grand Tactician, the Civil War. How much did the France trip cost? Okay, I don't mind talking about that. It actually wasn't that bad. Now, I flew out of Pittsburgh, which is not normally the most cost-effective way to fly to France. Like when our family goes to the UK, we're going to drive to either Toronto, Canada, which is 4.5 hours away, Washington, D.C., which is about 4.5 hours away, or New York City, which is 6 hours away, because we can get direct flights from there, and the tickets are like half the price of what they would be flying out of Pittsburgh. So I had to connect from Pittsburgh to Detroit and then to there. My plane ticket was like $600 round trip, and I used some miles to upgrade because I have a ton of miles because I travel a lot for Rachel's Challenge over the last 8 years. So that was about $600. For my 7 nights in France, my average hotel was probably 80 euros a night. Which is probably what, $90 a night was what I averaged for a hotel. My rental car for the entire week was only 183 euros, so like $200, which is really, really cheap. You can't get a rental car that cheap here in the States very often. So that wasn't bad. And then food, honestly, I probably spent $30 a day on food. Gas was expensive because gas is really expensive in France. It's like $8 a gallon for gas. So I probably spent $100 in gas for my rental car. And then I had tolls, maybe $30 in tolls. So, I mean, do the math. I probably did the trip for less than $2,000 for a week. And most of that was my flight and my hotels. Actually, that's $90 a night for a nice hotel, and they were pretty nice hotels. It's cheaper than I can get them here in the States. Jason, I absolutely want to visit York when I'm in the UK. There's a tower there named after one of my ancestors, Clifford Tower. Don't let them take your city. What's your city, Peregrine Knight? I have been to Lancaster, PA, several times. What is my job aside from YouTube? YouTube is now my main income, which is awesome. Thank you guys for that. I preach at a church on Sunday mornings. I do part-time, occasional work speaking in schools for Rachel's Challenge. I used to do that full-time, but I don't anymore. And so that's pretty much it. I do need to do some more Japanese history. Airbnb is your friend. Yeah, eventually I'll start doing that more. Couldn't have slept in the rental. No, I wanted to have decent hotels. My nicest hotel was actually the cheapest one. There's a Best Western Plus right outside of the Paris airport. I stayed there my last night before I flew home. And that was really, really nice hotel. And that was like 60 euros. Did the Germans have a chance? Yeah, they might have had a chance in the Kaiserschlacht offensive if that had gone differently. But unlikely, but possible. I'd love to go to Israel someday. Zachary Taylor would have been a better president if he would not have died. Maybe, yeah, that's possible. What is my favorite color? Prussian blue. Prussian blue. What's worst? The Somme, Passchendaele, or Verdun? Ooh, wow. Verdun. Man, Verdun was brutal. I mean, they were all brutal. Passchendaele was brutal. The Somme was brutal. The Somme was brutal for moments. Like, July 1st was brutal. And mid-November was brutal. But Verdun was brutal for a long time. It was just a meat grinder. It was terrible. And it's still brutal going there today. What was more important? Verdun. Don't forget that spicy wind, yes. Was English enough for my trip to France? It was. I know a little bit of French. I know enough French. I can typically understand French. I can't speak it fluently, but like I know enough that if people are speaking to me in French, I can usually figure out what they're talking about. But yeah, I mean, the language barrier was not a huge deal. And like in the hotels, the people at the front desks in almost all hotels there speak English. And usually they wear on their name tag, it even says that they speak English. I had one hotel. It was a really small hotel near the Somme battlefield. Where the girl didn't speak English. I was there at night, and she was a young girl and very sweet. So she just pulled up her computer and started typing into Google Translate to tell me all the things about when breakfast was petit déjeuner, which is breakfast. I think it means like little lunch, but no, if you speak English and you don't speak French, you would not have trouble getting by there. If I was part of a war, I would be artillery behind the lines. Yeah. Did you tip at restaurants in France? No, in fact, most of the restaurants I went to didn't even have a spot for me to tip. Like, it wasn't even a choice to tip. Biggest historical disappointment. Wow, that's a big list. Andrew Johnson, for me. That's very American-centric, I know, but... Was Petain a Nazi? I don't think he was a Nazi. I think he was an old man who was trying to do what he thought was helpful in the situation. Just got nose surgery on Friday. What game is this? It's Strategic Command World War I. I'm not getting very far on it because we're chatting, but that's okay. Yes, Steve, I 100% agree with that. It's a common misconception, or it's a common stereotype, at least here in the U.S., that I've heard all my life, is that French people are snobby and stuck up. And maybe that's true in Paris, but you know what? It's true for Americans in New York, too. It's probably just a big city thing. Every French person I met, I had any interaction with whatsoever, was unbelievably pleasant and kind and friendly. The little town, Château-Chehery, which is where like Alvin York earned his Medal of Honor, like right outside of the town, like a mile outside the town. That's where their headquarters was. And everything in that town is like associated with Alvin York. You see his name everywhere there. Those people, like, they're a lot like rural people in Pennsylvania would be. It's kind of a hilly, mountainous area of the Argonne. There were people out hunting with their dogs when I was there. And every person I walked past on the street or I drove past was waving to me. They all said bonjour. And they didn't say it like in a, like, just being polite kind of thing. Like, they were genuinely being nice. Like, they were smiling. Bonjour. You know, like, they were really super friendly. And it blew me away how really, really friendly the French people were. Helmuth von Moltke resigns. Erich von Falkenhayn replaces him. And he stayed in command until after Verdun in the Somme when Ludendorff takes over. I did not go into Paris. I saw the Eiffel Tower out my plane window as we were taking off to come home. I am watching the Super Bowl later. I do not know anything about Estonian history. What place do I think has the most historical value in the whole grand scheme of things? Wow. Dude, that's such a long list. Rome, Jerusalem. Wow, there's so many places. Ancient Egypt, there's so much history there. Powdered Toast Man, thank you. Appreciate that. The British West Indies Regiment. I just whistled when I talked. Fielding 12 all-black battalions. No, I don't know about them, but now you have me curious. Your great-granddad fought with them in Egypt and Palestine. Very cool. I'm actually, once my series is done from France, I actually want to do some videos highlighting some units, like doing something about the Black Watch, the Scottish unit, So I want to do some videos about some particular units. Were there truly any aggressors in World War One? Everybody. I mean, you could make an argument that Russia was every bit as much to blame for that war as Germany or Austria-Hungary was, because they were the ones that set in motion the mobilization, no going back scenario that they all ended up in. I did go to France by myself. A World Undone, J76NY, you will not be sorry. It's a phenomenal book. I would love to visit Egypt someday. The Midwest mouth whistle. Royal Navy would like to requisition from... no, I don't need any seaplanes. Eric Mugisha, thank you. Make London a beautiful paradise, please. The best strategy that failed. The Schlieffen plan. It wasn't a bad strategy. But in the end, it didn't work out. What am I placing here? I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Oh, it's a Belgian First Corps. That's why. I got to put them in Ypres. All right, we got some new French Corps to throw into the mix here. I have not been, outside of North America, France is the only place I've been. Peregrine Night, yes, definitely. I will be back to Verdun for sure. There's so many stories that I did not get to tell on this first trip from that place, from those places that I went, that I want to go back for sure. And my wife even told me before I went, she said, you're going to go. She said, don't try to squeeze everything in the first time. You're going to go back like 4 or 5 times to these same places. I'm going to be like JD from History Underground, who's been to Normandy like 3 times now. I'll definitely be going back to the Western Front sooner rather than later. Janitor, I really appreciate that. Thank you. If you could have fought in a First World War I battle, it would have been Battle of Jutland. Hey, you know who was at Jutland was the future king, George VI. He was on a ship at Jutland. Could Mexico have won the Mexican-American War? No, I don't think so. You've won the game on both sides, Ulf? I have won as the Central Powers. I haven't won as the Entente yet, but I haven't tried. So, North African campaign. Yeah, there's a lot of stories to be told there. I have heard the new Sabaton song. I don't think it's as good as the other ones we've heard from the album so far, the Christmas Truce and Soldier of Heaven, I think, are better songs. But I'm really looking forward to Hellfighters. They have a song on there called Hellfighters about the Harlem Hellfighters. I can't wait to hear that one. They've got one called Dreadnought that I'm sure is going to be really good. All Quiet on the Western Front's very good. Is it a place I feel I need to visit? What place is that? I'll do more Mark Felton videos. Was the Treaty of Trianon too harsh? Depends on which side you're on. A World at War. I don't think I've seen that documentary. The most stupid decision in World War I? The attack at the Somme by the British. It probably isn't, but right now that's what I'm focused on. So I did visit Fleury, Jan Wallace. That was Indy Nidell who recommended that to me. He and I were emailing back and forth, and I asked him, I said, you just went to the Western Front. What's the must-see places? And Fleury was the first thing on his list. More Pacific Theater content? Yes. Strategic Command World War I is the name of this game. Let me just check on the time here. I gotta just catch up on messages a little bit. Oh, hey, they're already shipping my new relic coming from the UK. Awesome. Sorry, guys. I will be right back. I just have to catch up on a couple things here. Okay. Steve, very cool. I'll have to check that out, his letter about that. I want to go to the World War One Museum in Kansas City. Absolutely, Matt. I'm not going to talk too much about Ukraine Mighty. I have a personal policy. Not that I don't think that stuff shouldn't be talked about, but I have a personal policy of not talking about modern events and modern politics on the channel. Though here and there I have talked about it a little bit. All right, we're going to wipe out this German unit here. That's the name of the game on this, is trying to wipe out these units. And then just push the front a little bit here and there. Got to get some artillery going here before long. I am rooting for the Bengals, though I would not be, like, it's not a strong thing. Like, I'm not going to be, like, all really upset if the Bengals don't win. Because I think it'd be kind of cool to see Matt Stafford win a Super Bowl after all his years in Detroit. Oh, good. We can push the line forward here. Who has the best history videos that I have reacted to? I gotta say extra history. They're the most popular reaction videos I do. That and Oversimplified. Oversimplified's great. I mean, they're very entertaining, and they do such a great job. But they just don't have a lot of content, and I understand why. It takes a long time to make one of those videos. Totally get that. So I'm not criticizing them for a lack of content. I totally understand. So their stuff's really, really good, but yeah, probably extra history. I like how they tell their stories. But there's so much great content, historical content on YouTube, guys. I mean, I don't want to just pick one. And a lot of them, a lot of people I do reactions to have become friends and are very supportive. You know, the guys at Kings and Generals, Matt from Mr. Beat, and the other Matt from Useful Charts have all reached out and been very, very kind. Drawn of History, I got to do some more of his stuff. There have been some others too. I'm drawing a blank on them at the moment, but all Yarn Hub, they've been very supportive as well. I would love to go to Italy one day. My wife, I know, would love to as well. Indy Nidell's stuff is fantastic. The Great War is one of the best channels out there. They just have so much content. And I need to start watching his World War II channel too. East German uniforms, they're cool. I like them. I have not seen the movie J. Edgar. Would I rather fight for Russia or the Austro-Hungarian Empire? Ooh, that's like choosing between being punched in the face on the right cheek or the left. Russia. Do my children love history as much as me? Not really. My wife's coming around to it. If I were Lincoln in 1861 once the war started, what would have been my approach? I think the Anaconda Plan was the right one, so I wouldn't have changed that. I think the main thing is, who's my commander to lead? Grant, absolutely. I think Grant showed himself to be the right choice. I think the strategy from the beginning should have been to hit them everywhere at once instead of this kind of piecemeal moving a little bit here and there. The strategy they took in 1864 is the one they should have started with. Put the pressure on them on all fronts at one time. Have I met any of the members of Sabaton? No. Though I have talked briefly with Tommy, one of their guitar players. That'll change at some point. I would have met the guys from Sabaton when I went to the concert, but because of COVID, they weren't doing like a backstage thing, or else I would have gotten to meet them then. So it'll happen at some point. Fire or drowning? Oh, yeah, that's the same thing. Drowning. What did my family think? My family was all supportive of it. My daughter actually, has a very popular YouTube channel too, although she hasn't made any videos for months. Best U.S. president since 1900, Theodore Roosevelt. Is HGG reacting to extra history? Extra history. I suppose that it is. I don't know the armchair historian. I have not talked to him yet, but I'm sure I will at some point. He seems like a cool guy, and he knows his stuff. Historic Travels, Titanic content. I'll have to check that out. Your great-grandfather fought for the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Interesting. I need to do some research here. Let's do infantry weapons for the French. Anti-submarine warfare for the UK. And we'll do naval warfare too. That's good for now. Save the rest. The most knowledgeable books about World War II and World War II. Or World War I and World War II. Yeah, I'm going to set that up on my new website that I'm designing. I've been back for a week from France, actually. FDR or JFK? Yeah, FDR. World War I, the best books, A World Undone. That's the best one I've read. It doesn't mean it's the best. It's the best I've read. I've read quite a few. Am I a history teacher? I went to school to be a history teacher. I have subbed, but my life just went a different way, so I've never worked as a full-time history teacher. But yes, I did go to school to be one. What's new, Sam? Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, I almost went to Vimy Ridge. I was 45 minutes from Vimy Ridge when I was at the Somme battlefield, but that is right at the top of my list for next time. There's going to be a trip to see Passchendaele, Ypres, Vimy Ridge, and those other parts of that, kind of the northern part of the Western Front. Who's my favorite pirate? Blackbeard. NCR leader Phoenix, I appreciate that. That's high praise. I'm grateful. Red Logic, how could I forget you guys, man? Listen, this channel is nothing without the community that we have. And whether that was 1,000 subscribers that I had, a year and a half ago, or the 250,000 we have now, I'm nothing without you guys, and I will never forget that, ever. And I don't think I'm the only one that thinks A World Undone is good. Indy Nidell quotes A World Undone all the time on the Great War Channel. What did I have for lunch today? Chicken tenders. I heated some up in the microwave when I got home, and then I'm making DiGiorno for supper. We're going to have pizza and wings, and it's impossible to order a pizza on Super Bowl Sunday unless you order it like 3 days in advance. So we're making DiGiorno and wings, and we're going to watch the game. I am very excited for Peaky Blinders season 6, and I'm also excited for the new season of the Last Kingdom. Oh, such a great show. Andrew Johnson or Woodrow Wilson. Oh my gosh, that's like saying, do I want to be cut in half or burned at the stake? I don't know. Yes, I'm familiar with John C. Fremont's emancipation attempt, which Lincoln did not take too kindly to at all. Fremont had a tendency. Fremont was the Republican nominee for president in 1856, the election before Lincoln's election. And Fremont, I think even Grant describes him as basically kind of setting up his own fiefdom out west. Like he thought he could just do whatever he wanted and get away with it. How have I been today? I've been great. I hope you are as well. Winston Churchill. No. Favorite World War II fighter plane? Spitfire. And I've mentioned this before, but if and when I hit 1 million subscribers on this channel, I've already told my wife that to celebrate 1 million subscribers, I'm going to the UK and I'm taking a ride on a Spitfire. You can go down in the southern part of the UK, and I think it's like $3,000 for a half-hour ride. And they give you GoPros and everything, and they actually let you take the controls briefly, that sort of thing. So I'm going to ride in a Spitfire. Was Sherman as good as Grant? Sherman was smarter than Grant, but Grant was a better general to be commander-in-chief. I think Sherman's probably a better army commander than Grant. But they had different roles. If I could live in any time period, what would I choose? Ooh, wow. Probably the one I'm in, just because of technology and the availability of information and medical science advances. I don't know if I'll get into the week-by-week videos on the Great War Channel because there's just so much there, but we'll see. Sean, I've talked a little bit about my thoughts on the Ukraine situation. I try not to dive too much into that. But mostly I think the Russians are trying to destabilize Ukraine. I don't know that they're going to actually invade. I hope they don't. I think they're trying to destabilize. Nicholas, Garfield all day long. I think if Garfield had lived, he would have been one of the best presidents of all time. My thoughts on conscientious objectors? Totally support it. I think there's a place for them in the military without having to fight. Make them medics, like Desmond Doss. You know, give them an office job somewhere. If somebody's a conscientious objector, just let them serve in another way. Favorite historical period? I have 3. World War I, American Civil War, Wars of the Roses. Those periods. I don't think Buchanan could have done anything to prevent the Civil War. Air conditioning, only reason I would choose this time. Nice, Zach. All right, we're going to go, it's 3:35. We're going to go about 10 more minutes, guys, and then I'm going to wrap this up. I haven't really had a chance to spend any time with the family. I got home, ate some lunch, and then got ready to stream. Do I think Nero set Rome on fire? If he didn't, he certainly allowed it to go longer than it needed to. Do I think John Bell Hood was a bit mental with his army? Yeah, I could see that. Henry VIII, welcome to the channel, Your Majesty. And thank you for the £5. I appreciate that. You and your granddad love to watch the channel together. Very cool. Rangers all day long. Rangers. My family, part of my family comes from Glasgow, and they lived in Govan. I think that's how it pronounces Govan. And that's where the Rangers are, so I had to choose Rangers. Have I ever been in a tank? No. And I'm really jealous of my friend JD from History Underground because he has. He's ridden in a tank. I would love to visit the former Yugoslav countries at some point. Biggest what if in history for me, what if Abraham Lincoln isn't assassinated? I think Garfield was really intelligent. He had a good head on his shoulders. I think he was more moderate than the previous Republicans had been. They'd had a couple pretty radical Republicans up to that point. I think he was a good guy, just a good person. Like Grant, he was a good person, but didn't make the same stupid mistakes that Grant did as president. He wasn't as easily fooled by people as Grant was. John Quincy Adams, I think is an underrated president. Probably our most qualified president ever. I mean, that dude did so many things. He was super intelligent, incredible background. The Boers rebelled in South Africa. Do I think Theodore Roosevelt should not have... Heck yeah, I think he should not have split the vote. Because splitting the vote brought us Woodrow Wilson. So yes, 100%. Blades 2, Albion 0. Hey now, Sander. Don't talk like that. I love Harry Turtledove's books. El Corps destroyed. 6 Serbian Corps destroyed. France increases its arm production. General Joffre. Yeah, sure. Foreign Legion. Let's do it. Thank you, Davik, on 250K. I appreciate that. I would love to go to Williamsburg at some point. My wife's been there. 17-year-old French aiming to be a history teacher. That's amazing. Very cool. Henry VIII, thank you. Extra fiver for the correct answer. All right, go Rangers. Born in Govan and raised in Larkhall. Okay, very cool. My family lived, it was an area of Govan that at the time was known as Fireworks. I don't know if that's a name that means anything to the people there now, but it was like a village that set up around the Govan Iron Works. That was where my people worked. I am going to do more Historia Civilis. That's coming probably later, end of this week. I'll get back to more of the Caesars videos. Blaine or Hughes? Ooh. Blaine. Were any presidents bilingual? Oh, quite a few. John Quincy Adams, a perfect example. He spoke several languages fluently. I think quite a few of the presidents. especially the early presidents spoke multiple languages. It was just, I mean, you had to learn Latin just to go to college back then. Favorite place in Pennsylvania, Gettysburg. Did I find French people attractive? They were certainly thinner on average than Americans, myself included. And I think it's because they eat healthier there. Ohio is southeastern Michigan, Stonewall. Don't speak of such blasphemy again. I've been to a tank park? No. I'm working on German, Sean Champagne. I want to be fluent in German by the time I go to Germany. So that's the language for me, I would say. Martin Van Buren, yeah, Dutch was his first language. Absolutely right. One of your grandfathers was a commander in the Confederate Army and has a song about him. Very cool. Favorite language other than English would probably be German. Favorite NHL team, Columbus Blue Jackets. If I could visit one country today, it would be, the UK, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. Fallout games. Oh, probably not. Smartest president, John Quincy Adams or James Garfield. I wouldn't argue with that being true. When did I get home from France? I got home last Saturday, so I've been home for just over a week. Yes, HGG is old, as I got the liberty to answer for him. I am not 57, but thank you. I'm 44. Hayes or McKinley? McKinley, only because my great uncle built the house he was born in. A lot of my family's from Niles, and Niles was where McKinley was born. So my wife went to McKinley High School. I have not been to London, Cameron, so no, I haven't been to the Imperial War Museum. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. We're going to do more streams. I'm going to try to stream once a week. I'm also going to be doing a private patron and member stream this week. Probably Tuesday, late afternoon, maybe early evening. So be watching for that if you're a member or a patron. We'll be doing a private stream, do some quiz games and stuff like that. That'll be coming this week. I need to start getting back to those. So thank you guys so much, and we'll do this again real soon.